Buenas tardes, mi gente hermosa. Bienvenidos a otro taller más de estudiante.gov en la cual hoy día hablarán, y es el último, estarán hablando cómo llenar el formulario del FAFSA 2024-2025 para estudiantes independientes, de tal manera que vamos a empezar a preparar todo lo que necesitamos tener listo para este taller. Como ustedes saben, esto viene directamente del gobierno de student.gov, en la cual vamos a ver toda la información que tienen listos para nosotros. Vamos a cambiar la pantalla hoy un momento para poder tener todo una vez empiece esto, porque como dijeron, empieza a las 6 de la tarde. Y bueno, ya son, uy, ya son las 6 de la tarde. Y bueno, vamos a ver qué pasa. Uf. Ok, lo tenemos acá preparado. Vamos a cambiar la otra. Y como ustedes saben, mi gente, si me tienen acá, espérenme unos segundos mientras vamos arreglando todo acá, porque justamente el taller de hoy día es para estudiantes que llenan el formulario siendo independiente. Um, y bueno, ya lo arreglamos acá. Déjenme cambiar la pantalla. Todavía no ha empezado. Son las 6 y como es el gobierno, yo creo que va a empezar en unos minutos. Y bueno, háganme saber si se ve bien. Y ustedes saben que lo estoy transmitiendo también en mi plataforma de TikTok. Pero acá me tenemos a mí mismo y mientras comienza, vamos a ver que vamos a seguir hablando acá sobre, obviamente, lo que ha estado pasando últimamente, que justamente eh, no, como les mencioné anteriormente, mis expectativas han sido muy altas en las cuales realmente no han pasado y, y bueno, espero que realmente en este webinar hablen mucho más y nos den eh, más cosas, ¿no? Entonces, realmente mis expectativas son muy altas y siento que todavía no han llegado ahí. Siento que mucha de la información que nos han dado ha sido información que obviamente están en redes sociales y no realmente respondiendo todas las cosas que necesitamos saber. Así que esa es una de ellas y bueno, ya son las 6 de la tarde, todavía no han empezado. Y bueno, ya va a empezar.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 24-25 Better FAFSA, Better Future webinar series. So glad you could join us this evening. My name is Fred Stennis, and I'm the Outreach Supervisor for Awareness and Outreach here at Federal Student Aid. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for registering and joining in today's special webinar entitled How to Complete the 24-25 FAFSA form as an Independent Student. You don't want to miss it. Before we get started, please take a note of the following disclaimer. Information presented today is on a background and not for direct attribution. For comment about the information presented today, please contact press@ed.gov. Now, a few housekeeping notes. Questions presented today will be used to help FSA continue to develop tools and resources that assist students and families complete the FAFSA form. To submit a question, please use the Q&A function on Microsoft Teams. For those who can't join this webinar in real time today, it will be recorded and available for our new and posted on our new YouTube channel at FSA Outreach within 24 hours. You can also request a PDF version of the PowerPoint slides on our YouTube channel as well. Closed captioning is available by clicking on at the bottom right side of the screen where you'll see a gear icon. Click on it and click on subtitle on, and then click on subtitle options. And there'll be a list of languages that include Spanish, French, Chinese, Hindu, and Arabic. Please choose your preferred language to listen to the webinar. Now that we've taken care of a few logistics, let's begin. It's an honor and a privilege to introduce our presenter today, Mr. Isaiah Ellis. He's an outstanding leading outreach specialist here at Federal Student Aid. And he's going to take us through the 24-25 FAFSA for independent students, so pay attention. Isaiah, take it away.
Thank you, Fred, and thank you all who are dedicating and sacrificing your time to be with us today. I know there's a number of things we're going to cover today, but I wanted to take a moment to thank you as you're listening and tuning into us on your way home. If you're on the West Coast or East Coast, Midwest, Central, and we're just excited that you're joining us today to learn how to complete the 24-25 FAFSA as an independent student. With that said, let's get started. Now, when you're considering completing the 24-25 FAFSA form, it's always great practice to go to studentaid.gov to get started. Once you come to our landing page, this is the screen that you will see. Now, the pictures and the images may vary depending upon what's the topic of the month, but the URL will not change. When you come to this location, you'll see a number of information that is available for you to learn more about the federal financial aid process, the FAFSA form, as well as federal student loans and other federal financial aid programs as well. When you scroll down, you'll also see exactly information that's tailored to where you are in the process, whether you're considering school, whether you're in school, or you're a parent, or you're in repayment. We also have developed Aiden. This is our bot where you're able to come in and be able to ask it a question and be able to get many of your questions answered. We do have additional topics on hand as to how financial aid works, an additional section for where we place our announcements. We do encourage that you visit those announcements to learn more about the FAFSA updates and updates that we have listed under those announcements. Now, when you come to also this page, you're going to come to also the right-hand side. You're going to see login, and create account. Once you click login, you'll be able to log in using your email, phone number, or FSA ID username. You also have to enter your password that you created when you created the account. Now, if you forgot your username, that's quite all right. We do have a process that you can follow to retrieve your username. And the same process goes for if you forgot your password. We do have a process that you can undertake to retrieve your password. So to retrieve either your username or your password, it's always good to have an email address or a verified phone number on file so you could be able to quickly access and retrieve those items. If you don't know, that's quite all right. You want to make sure you contact us so we can either reset or cancel that previous account out to get you a whole new one. Now, if you're coming here for the first time, and this is the first time that you're engaging with FSA, this is the first time that you decided to submit and complete and submit a free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA form. For the first time, you must have an FSA ID. This is also where you're going to come to create such ID. So you can come down and click create an account, enter your information such as your first and last name as is listed within the Social Security Administration, your social security number, date of birth, and then also an email and a phone number to be verified. It will take about 1 to 3 days to verify that information, but once it has been verified, you can come back and you can start the FAFSA form. So we're going to take you through that part, filling out the FAFSA form as an independent student. Right now, we're going to make a couple of assumptions. We're going to assume that this student is married and the student is under the age of 24, as well as in the military. I will cover and give you little tips as to all those students that are in different fields and different positions and circumstances that can be categorized and determined as an independent student. So stay tuned if you fit one of those particular circumstances. Now, when you come in, you're going to sign in with your username and your password. We created a fictitious person, so all the information that you will see is that of a fictitious person, and the person is not actually real. However, we just wanted to provide you a sample through our financial aid, our FAFSA prototype. So this person is going to come in and enter their username and their password, and then they're going to come and click log in. Once they had a chance to log in, they're going to see a landing page where they can start the 2024-25 FAFSA form, or because we are still within the 2023-24 FAFSA year, which the deadline to completing that FAFSA form is actually June 30th of 2024. That's primarily for students that want those funds to be applied to this academic year, whether they are enrolled in a college, career, or university. We want to make sure that if they did not complete the FAFSA to this point and they do wish to do so, they still have some time to do so. And they just need to come to this page and start that 23-24 FAFSA form. Now, also, while they're on this page, they can also review what those deadlines for their particular state may be. So they can come to this section, select their appropriate year, as well as their state of residence. As they scroll down a little bit further, they're going to see exactly additional information as to who should be completing the FAFSA form, how long would it take, and what they need to do. We also provide information such as a video for individuals to come and review on what is the FAFSA form. It's on our YouTube channel. So many of our videos that we conduct, whether they're informative videos, you can check out on Federal Student Aid YouTube channel, or our previous webinars and of our previous sessions that we conducted under our Better FAFSA, Better Future webinar series. You can visit our YouTube channel at FSA Outreach. So like and subscribe to us. If you get a chance, pull out your phones and go ahead and do so right away to get the most recent updates as it pertains to our webinar series and other webinar videos that we provide on that particular channel. Now, as you scroll down, you also see our frequently asked questions or additional questions about the FAFSA process. Feel free to check those out, but you can also come a little bit further down and even try out our Federal Student Aid Estimator. The information that's provided on the Federal Student Aid Estimator will not be sent to the institution. It's just in a demo site. So just keep that in mind when you're using the site. It's not a site, the actual FAFSA form. So we're going to come back up and we're going to start a new form as an independent student completing the 2024-2025 FAFSA form. So we're going to come here and select new form. Now, in this case, this is an independent student, so they will not need information from the dependent, such as like a dependent student, such as in that case, they'll need it from the parent 1 or parent 2. But as an independent student, that student does not need the information from their parent, but they may need information from their spouse. And we'll get into that in just a bit. So we're going to start this particular form as the student, and they'll be presented with 4 different informational sections. The first one being, what is a FAFSA form? If that does look familiar, it should, because you just saw it on the landing page as soon as the student logged in. They have a chance that they can look over the video. It's a very short video, but it does provide some very important information as it pertains to the FAFSA form as well. So when you're done viewing the video, you can come down and select continue. And this is going to give you information about what is a contributor. This is a new term for the 2024-25 FAFSA form. A contributor is anybody that's required to provide information onto the FAFSA form. So as an independent student that is married and their tax filing status is married filing separately, they'll need to identify the 2 contributors, which one is automatically because that's the student, but their spouse will be contributor number 2. So it's important to understand that because we will need information from their spouse who's identified as contributor number 2. Now, if the marital status of the student is married filing joint, the tax filing status is married filing jointly, then we'll just need information from the student and they can complete it on the behalf of them and their spouse. So they're going to come in here and hit continue. And the third section is letting you know what to expect. Generally, when you're coming in for the first time, and if you're taking your time through every single question, it can take an hour. But of course, it could take much less time if you know how to navigate the form, which after this particular session, I hope is informative enough for you to feel that comfortable to get it done. Now we're going to come to the final section, just giving you some information about what to know after submitting the FAFSA form, such as a FAFSA submission summary, which is going to include your student aid index. That is just an index number. That's not how much you have to pay for the bill. Simply put, you would have to enroll in courses and to be able to determine what is that final bill, because there may be fees allowed, the type of room you may have, the type of board or meal plan that you may select, other factors and other elements of that bill come into play. So the student aid index number is simply just an index number that's used to determine how much need-based aid that you may be eligible for. So keep that in mind as it's pertaining to what is a student aid index and why is it important for you to understand what that is. So keep that in mind as well. With that said, we are ready to start our FAFSA form as an independent student. Now, once you select that button, you're going to be presented on the next page just to verify the information that you have already been completed at your FSA ID. All of that information will be populated onto the form. So that's the information that you're verifying. You will also want to make sure that you have an up-to-date mailing address. So if you look at the mailing address and that is not accurate, then you want to make sure that this is take advantage of this opportunity to update that information. And by doing so, if it looks the same, please feel free to leave it and hit continue. A couple factors to kind of keep in mind. If you are making changes to your mailing address, you want to write out all words. You want to avoid any type of punctuation, additional spaces, particularly around the end of the terms. So you want to make sure that you're entering the right information. And for this particular student, we're going to hit continue. And we're going to acknowledge that their state of legal residence is New York. Let's say but we also want to point out that the second question is when did the student become a legal resident of New York? Sometimes when a student is born, they were born in the state of New York. In this case, we're going to say that the student became a legal resident in 2010, in January of 2010. And then we're going to hit continue. Now we're going to be asked to provide consent and approval. In order to be eligible for federal financial aid, all contributors must provide consent and approval. Providing consent and approval allows us, federal student aid, to take the information that was already processed through the IRS and populate it onto the FAFSA form. Therefore, you don't have to go through every question as it pertains to your taxes and try to add up those additional fields. This option allows us to do that. So when being able to do that saves you quite a bit of time. So as you can read through this at your leisure, this is just providing more additional content and information as it relates to providing consent and approval. I want to point out that you're going to see some acronyms along the way. In this particular case, you're going to see the acronyms of FTI, that's Federal Tax Information. So that's what we mean when we're transferring FTI over. You're transferring your federal tax information. As you scroll down, you're going to see additional terms and questions, frequently asked questions provided in an accordion style. That's going to be additional information for you to learn about as it pertains to providing consent and approval. And when you're ready to do so, you're going to come down and hit approve. And by hitting approve, we're moving into the first of 5 sections under the FAFSA that are in the FAFSA form. The first of which is going to be your personal circumstances. We're going to start asking questions about your marital status. So in this particular case, for this particular student, we're going to hit married. Now, this student is considered has been deemed that they're married. Now, if they meet any other of the current marital statuses, such as single, remarried, separated, divorced, or widowed, then they want to come in and select the appropriate option. In this case, for this student is married. So we're going to hit continue. Next, we're going to ask about their college or career plans. Are they enrolling in school as a first year? Are they within their second year? Are they in their third or fourth year? Those are commonly known as your freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. Or are they coming in as an advanced degree? So in this case, we're going to say that the student is in their second year. and they already surpassed the first year. The first year, they may or may not have taken out any federal financial aid, but that's quite all right because they're completing this form in their sophomore year. So because they're also completing the form in their sophomore year, they also do not have their first bachelor's degree on or before July 1st of 2024 of this year. So we're going to come down and hit continue. Now, if they have, they can go ahead and select the appropriate option if that pertains to them. Now, we're going to look further into their particular circumstance. As I stated on the outset, we're going to go ahead and hit the top option, which is that the student is currently serving on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces for purposes other than training. Now, these questions are what we consider dependency questions. If a student answers yes to any one of these, they may be deemed independent student. Now, depending upon the question that they respond to, they may have to provide verification or they have to verify their particular circumstance. In this particular case, as you can see, the options are veteran of the armed forces. If they have students or anyone else that lives with them that receives more than half of their support from them. If by any time they turn 13, they were orphaned, warded to court, in foster care. If they're a legally emancipated minor, as determined by the court in the state of residence, or they were in legal guardianship with anyone other than their parent or step parent, as determined by the court in their legal in their state of residence. Now, if none of those options pertain to them, they can come down and select none of these apply. But this student, for the one that we're doing, that are sampling, they are currently on active duty. So we're gonna go ahead and select the top option and come down and hit continue. After hitting continue, we're gonna ask you additional information. If the student was ever an unaccompanied homeless youth on or after July 1st of 2023. If they do hit yes, then they're gonna be asked additional questions. In this case, we're gonna hit no and continue. Now, the determination for this student is that of an independent student. If they answered none of those apply and they did not have any extenuating circumstances or unusual circumstances, then they may be the result may be that they are a dependent student. When we say unusual versus special circumstances, we're talking about unusual is what is your occurrence. Do you have any contact with your parents if you were a dependent student? Or are you coming from an adverse situation at home and making contact with your parent may result in a result in your personal affairs or your welfare? That can categorize as a dependent student term converting to an independent student. Now, there are certain scenarios where a dependent student can be deemed an independent student, but you must go through our questionnaire where you answer those particular questions, and then your result will be either you are a dependent student or an independent student or placed into provisional status where you have to verify your particular circumstance. But however, I know that was a lot. For the nature of this particular session, we're going to proceed on with this student being deemed an independent student. Now, the next question is going to ask them about their marital tax filing status, but again, that's within the normal FAFSA form. We are in the prototype, which is the sample. So we're taking those basic assumptions of that this student was married, but their tax filing status is married filing separately. Now, because that's the tax filing is married filing separately, we will need the information from their spouse, and so their spouse will need to be invited as a contributor. So in this particular case, we're going to go with Jane Doe. And Jane Doe was born on the 1st of January in 2005. They're going to come down and enter a social security number if, in fact, their spouse has one. And at this point, they're going to enter their email address. Having their email address in this particular field will allow us to email their spouse the contributor invitation. And I'm going to tell you what that looks like later on in the session. So when they get through this area, they're going to go ahead and hit send the invite, and that invitation is now sent to their spouse, and their spouse will be able to enter information. Just as a heads up, the 2024-25 FAFSA form is role-based. So as the first contributor, you're going to enter in all the information as it pertains to you. And the second contributor, in this case, the spouse, is going to enter all the information pertaining to him and her. Now we're going to proceed on to show you that look of what it looks like for the contributor, just to give you an idea. But that's where we are. When an invitation is sent, they don't have to wait till you complete your section in order to get started on theirs. So they're going to come down and hit continue. And we're going to ask additional information as it pertains to demographics. Now, this is completely optional. A person does not necessarily have to answer it, and nor will it hinder their ability to receive federal financial aid. So in this case, the student's going to enter their mail, and they're going to hit continue. And then they're going to be asked additional information. They're going to select not of a Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin, and that they're white. We're going to also enter that they are Irish and Italian. And they're going to come down. They can enter additional options as it pertains to them, so they're not just regulated to just entering one selection. Then come down and hit continue. And next, we're going to ask the student about their citizenship status. This is a very important question because only U.S. citizens or nationals or eligible non-citizens are eligible to receive federal financial aid. The student is the only one that we're looking at in regard to their citizenship status. So if the student has a spouse who does not have a social security number and is not a U.S. citizen, national and eligible non-citizen, it won't hurt a student's eligibility to be considered for federal financial aid. The same goes with a dependent student if their parent was not an eligible non-citizen, national or U.S. citizen. In this case, the student is a U.S. citizen or national. Next, we're going to ask additional information about their parents' educational status. It's okay if they do not know. If they do know, then great, they can answer appropriately. In this case, we're going to indicate that for this student, one of both parents that attended college, but neither parent actually completed. And they're going to come down and hit continue. Then they'll be asked if their parent was killed in the line of duty, whether that was regarding the events of 9/11, or if their parent was performing official duties as a public safety officer. In this case, the student was not, and they're going to hit continue. Then we'll ask information about their high school completion status. Did they complete a high school diploma or a GED, or were they homeschooled? And the homeschool was recognized by the local school district. So if they enter all none of the above, if they enter, in this case, we're going to select high school diploma. The student is able to obtain the high school diploma, and we're going to go ahead and hit continue. And then they're going to be asked to enter information about their high school. So we pre-populated some information. A lot of this information is, again, fictitious. We're just going to select schools that we already had entered into the system. So once you enter your information into those fields, you're going to select search. That's going to select the most the school that's more relevant to the name that you have placed. If your school is not listed, you do have an option to come down here and add a school manually. And then we'll take a look to see if it was in a database under a different name, or if we have to add it to the list of schools that are in the system. If you do see the school listed on your screen, you're going to click it. So make sure you fill in that circle there, and then come down and hit continue. Now you have a chance to take a look at the information you just provided, make any changes in the upper right hand corner here under edit, or you can confirm and move on by hitting continue. Now we're going to go into ask questions about your finances. I just want to make a note. Remember earlier you heard me state about unusual circumstance. Well, you may have a special circumstance. A special circumstance is financial related. That's loss of assets, loss of income. If there are additional expenses that need to be considered, such as tuition at a secondary institution. So those things may qualify as your special circumstance, and you want to make sure you're communicating that also to the financial aid office. Now, in this particular case, we're going to go into the section on finance, which is the third section, and then you're going to select one of these options as it pertains to you, the student. Keep in mind, none of these options none of these apply work for the purpose of this prototype. But however, on the actual FAFSA form, they do work. So you can select as many options as necessary as it pertains to your own situation or circumstance. Then for this student, they're going to come down and hit continue. Now we're going to ask a very important question, and it should line up with what's already on the tax forms, and that's regarding family size. If you have claimed a set of individuals on the taxes, it should be the same here. If not, you do have the option as to selecting yes and inputting the correct number as it pertains to your family size. But for this student, what they put on their 2022 tax information, tax returns, is the same and did not change. So we're going to come back here and hit next and continue. Then we'll be presented with the question of the number in college. Then for the 2024-25 FAFSA form, the number in college does not impact the calculation of the student aid index. So in this case, they're going to enter 1. Now, we still ask the question, and the student should answer this question as accurately as they can. Now, only one student in college, and they're going to come in here and select continue. Now we're going to ask additional information, such as if you have an IRA, a pension, or you have any type of grant, scholarship, or AmeriCorps benefits that you are reporting as income. So if not, you're going to go ahead and hit zeros in those particular fields. If you have any foreign earned income exclusion, you're going to hit that. You're going to select the value or input the value in that particular field as well, and come hit continue. Then we ask additional information, such as if you received any child support, what are your total number of your cash savings and checking accounts. We're going to put 1,000 here. We'll also ask questions about what is your net worth of your investments, including real estate, excluding the house that the student lives in. Okay. If you have an investment property, we're looking at your appraised value minus your liabilities, and that net is where you're going to put, is what you're going to put into this field. If you have multiple properties, you're going to add up the net and then add and place that into the field as you see on your screen. Now with the businesses, we look at the valuation of your business minus your liabilities equals that net, and that net will come your place into this field here. And once you finish inputting those fields or inputting those values into those fields, you're going to come down and hit continue. And now you're ready to select the colleges. Keep in mind, as it relates to inputting information onto your FAFSA form pertaining to your colleges, universities, or career school, you can add up to 20. So because we're not processing FAFSA forms until the first half of March, it's very important that you add up to 20, because once it starts the process of processing, then you can't update the information until it has been processed. Okay, so that may take some time. So you want to make sure you're adding as many schools as you possibly can. It doesn't have to be a school you applied to, have been accepted into. It could be just one you are interested in. You want to make sure that when they're navigating their admissions process, that at least they can also have is the information in the cloud, so to speak, that when they be able to pull down after you've been accepted and after the first half of March, to be able to start packaging you for a financial aid offer. So for this, we're going to say that the student is interested in schools in California. They have an option to add the city. They also have the option to add the school name. So for this particular student, we're just going to pick some schools. We're going to select that. Now, once they hit search to be able to see the schools that are most relevant, they can come on the right-hand side and select up to 20. They can come back in and remove the school name and look at schools in a particular city. They can remove the city and and try to identify the school and the location. Or they can come in and also search by the school code. As you can see on the right-hand side of the schools, you have the school code outline. If you don't know what those schools, what the school code may be for that institution, you can also Google it as well if you're looking to just identify the school by the school code, because they may have different locations with different school codes, which is very common. So you can check out the different pages. Again, add up to 20, and once you're ready to move forward, you're going to come down and hit continue. Now, you just want to review all the schools that were selected. If you want to remove some, if you want to learn more information about some, this will be the good opportunity to do so. It's always good practice whenever you're looking at multiple schools to compare schools. Now, you can do so via our college scorecard. We do have a session that was just conducted by our supervisor, Fred Stennis, that we welcome you to check out on the college scorecard and how to compare schools as well as financial aid offers. We do welcome you to check out that video. It will be made available within 24 hours. So if you have a moment, feel free to go back to our YouTube channel at FSA Outreach to check out the video on that, among others as well. Now you're going to come down and hit continue. And once you get to this point, you're going to be asked to review the information that was placed. So again, similar to such as our frequently asked questions, there are in an accordion style where you can come and look at all the information that was placed onto the FAFSA form. And then once you're ready, you scroll further down, double check the contributor to just make sure that you're sending it to the right contributor. If that information looks good, you're going to come down and hit continue, and then you're going to navigate to sign the document. Make sure you read everything. Make sure that you're certifying that everything that you have put is accurate, that also that you meet all the other criteria listed within the 5 bullets. And then you scroll down and select the checkbox and hit sign. Now, as a student, you're all done. But remember, you sent an invitation to a contributor. So let's look at what the contributor will be able to see and how they will be able to complete that FAFSA form. Now, when you're sent an email, typically this is what that email looks like. So it could be in your spam folder. It could be in your regular inbox. But what I'm saying to you is in terms of the contributor, I'm speaking to you, the spouse. Now, we're letting you know that they can't be eligible for federal student aid without your input, and it may hinder them from getting access to our federal financial aid programs listed on your screen here. So we don't want to hurt them from receiving federal financial aid. We want to go ahead and hit login. Now, remember what I stated on the outset, that each contributor must have an FSA ID. So you already created an FSA ID, which means that you can come in and you can be able to log in with your email, phone number, or an FSA ID username, as well as the password that you entered while you were creating the account. Now, because you went ahead and do so, we're going to hit login. But first, if you don't remember, you do have an opportunity to retrieve your username or your password as well. But luckily, the spouse, this contributor, remembers their username and their password. So you hit login, and they're going to accept the invitation. Now we're going to hit continue. And now we're going to dive into explaining what is a contributor and why they have been invited. So just like in other areas of FAFSA form with the student, we do again have everything in accordion style where they can come and learn more about being a contributor and what does it mean. When you are providing information as a contributor number 2, basically as a spouse, you're not financially obligated to pay anything as it pertains to the student. You're just providing information onto the FAFSA form to help the schools, the higher education authorities, and the federal government determine their eligibility for their particular financial aid programs. So with that said, the student is aware of that. They're going to come in and hit continue. They're going to make sure that the information that's being presented on the screen is accurate, and then they're going to come and hit continue. After they hit continue, just like the first contributor, the student, they also have to provide consent and approval. Again, consent and approval is allowing us, the federal government, to transmit the federal tax information onto the FAFSA form. By doing so, it allows us to surpass a lot of those questions and improve the user experience. So in this case, the contributor number 2 is going to read, again, all of the information that's being presented to them. And after they have done so, they're going to hit approve. And now they're going to be presented with those additional financial questions. Now, the first thing is that we're going to ask them is about their IRA, if they have any. We'll say that this individual has 1,000. Any pension? We're going to say none. We're going to say, you also ask, do you have any foreign earned income exclusion. They're going to hit no, and they're going to hit continue at that point. Now, they're mostly done, but they need to sign the form. So they want to make sure that they come in, review all the information that they have placed on or as a contributor, and now they are ready to sign. Now they're going to scroll, make sure they read and certify. Once they have done, they're going to come and check the box and select sign and submit. And at that point, the file is complete and ready to be fully processed by federal student aid. Now, if encourage you to learn more about the information that we have, you can always check us out at studentaid.gov. As I stated, we have 4 different tabs depending upon where you are in the process. We also welcome you to learn more information about preparing for college. We do have abundance of tools and resources to help you navigate completing the 2024-25 free application for federal student aid. And if you are on social media, send us a like, subscribe to us, or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X as well. And if you missed some of our earlier sessions as part of our Better FAFSA, Better Future webinar series, particularly those sessions that was conducted by our colleague, Tanika Mangum, please take some time to understand and navigate and also check out those particular webinar videos that are listed on our YouTube channel at FSA Outreach. So check those out and learn more about why it's important to complete a free application for federal student aid. With that said, I'm going to bring back in my colleague, Fred Stennis. Fred?
Thank you so much, Isaiah. Great job. And thank you for sharing that powerful information about how to complete a 24-25 FAFSA form for independent students. It's easy. I can do it. So thank you very much, Isaiah, for that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our 24-25 webinars series. This was the last session of our series. We want to thank you for joining in tonight. We hope you have a successful time with completing the FAFSA form. And remember the nuggets and the information, the resources that Isaiah shared with us on tonight's webinar. Again, with that said, thank you all. Have a blessed evening and good night.
Bueno, mi gente hermosa, eso fue todo las series que tenemos de StudentAid.gov, la cual presentaron sobre cómo llenar el formulario siendo dependiente. Hoy día fue siendo independiente. Tuvimos también la sesión en la cual hablaron sobre los préstamos. La otra sesión que hablaron también sobre la estructura, cómo hacer la diferencia en estrategias de universidades y cómo verificar y comparar las ofertas. Así que bueno, eso fue todo por hoy. Espero que realmente haya sido de mucha ayuda, aunque realmente creo que yo lo expliqué mejor sin decir, ajaja, qué mucho, pero bueno, con esto me despido, mi gente. Espero que les haya ayudado bastante. Y ustedes saben, esto ha quedado grabado en mi canal de YouTube. No se olviden suscribirse. Y si no me siguen en mis otras redes sociales, me pueden encontrar como David Liuri Chico Beca. Y toda la información que necesitan está ahí también. Así que con eso me despido, mi gente. Y terminan las series del FAFSA 2024-2025.